I could have never imagined I'd be here asking myself this question in a million years. My parents, my three brothers, Justin, Andrew, Carl, and me. The only girl, unplanned and fiercely loved. Justin was the oldest, 36, diagnosed with prostate cancer and gone before we understood what was happening. We were shattered. My parents barely held together. We all coped differently. Andrew found religion. At first, that seemed like a lifeline. Then it became something else entirely. The church discouraged medicine. They followed what they called a Daniel diet, fruits and vegetables, nothing more. Andrew had been 5'11", 180 pounds. 2 years later, we saw him at 135. He looked like he was disappearing in front of us. We held an intervention. He called us faithless, told us to stay away. We found out through other people that he'd gotten married. When he had a son, named Justin, after our brother, my parents reached out again and again. Andrew agreed to family counseling, but only if his pastor ran it. We drove out there, sat in that room. Something about that pastor made my skin crawl. All warmth and honey on the surface, but the whole thing felt like a transaction. In the end, Andrew was given permission to see us again, if he worked on converting us. My mother played along. I kept my distance. Last May, at our father's birthday, Andrew looked like he was barely standing. He was holding his 1-year-old and looked like he might faint from the effort. His breathing was labored. He'd lost more weight. I called 911. Andrew was furious. He refused to go with the paramedics. As they left, I told him plainly, from what I was seeing, he would not make it to the end of the year if nothing changed. His wife looked at me like I had said something unforgivable. They left. In August, I got a call. Andrew had collapsed at work. An ambulance had been called. He wanted to sign himself out against medical advice, but was too delirious to do so. His wife called the pastor. They tried to remove him. Years earlier, during Justin's illness, Andrew had named me his medical proxy. The hospital had it on file. They called me. I gave full consent for treatment. I had all calls and visitors blocked. His wife, the pastor, anyone from that church. Only my parents and Carl were to be updated. He had been septic, early-stage organ failure. He was in hospital for 6 months. We fought every step of the way. When he came around enough to participate, he agreed to treatment. He was eventually sent home with oral antibiotics. I didn't want him to go home, but he wouldn't stay. Once he left, there was silence. No contact from him or his wife. We tried everything. Then, in April of this year, a provider from his original care team called me. Andrew was back in hospital. His wife had arrived before us and had herself made his new proxy. The provider was calling to give me a heads up, privately, because Andrew had asked him to inform me if anything happened. I had an hour 45 of driving ahead of me. I couldn't make it in time. His wife, now in charge, had him sign a DNR and several other documents declining treatment. According to her, he was just to be observed. Over 2 weeks, we couldn't get access to him. Then the provider called again. He was expected to pass within 2 days. He was in visible pain. His wife was refusing comfort medication. Visiting in the hospital ended at 8. I arrived at 7:30 and sat in the cafeteria until 11:30 to be sure the coast was clear. Then I went up. He looked terrible, skin sagging. His breath was bad. I just started crying. He woke up. We talked. He was angry at God for not healing him the way the Bible promised. I tried to steer us somewhere lighter. He wouldn't let me. And then I broke. I told him God wasn't to blame. I told him it was his fault he was lying there, that God had given him a second chance when he collapsed at work, a real medical second chance. And he had gone home and thrown it away. I told him no one else was responsible for where he was. Not God, not us, him. He looked broken when I said it, but something shifted. He got quiet, and then he asked to see his son. He asked to see our family. He said he was sorry. I called my parents. Carl was ready. By 4 a.m, all of us were at his bedside. The charge nurse let us stay. We talked for hours. Andrew apologized for everything he had put us through. He asked us to look after his son, and he said I was right. He said it out loud, that he was to blame for what had happened to his family and to himself. He passed shortly after. At the funeral, my mother blamed me for causing him pain in his final hours. My brother Carl took my side, but later said I could have been gentler. Was I wrong to say what I said?